Hey YouTube, today I wanted to talk about my biggest fears right now before I am approved for my gastric bypass surgery. I have my first appointment with my surgeon as a consult tomorrow. Everything else is done. All of my appointments to set a baseline, get my blood work done to see if I have any comorbidities. All my psych doctor visits are done and that paperwork's turned in. You can watch all about that on other videos in the past. But my next appointment is the actual first appointment with my surgeon to talk about all things bariatric surgery, gastric bypass surgery, and to find out if he thinks that I'm a good candidate for the surgery. So it's a little nerve-wracking and scary. I think because I fall into the insurance guidelines that the surgeon will say, yeah, you're approved. I think that you're a worthy candidate, but we'll see. So some of my biggest fears right now. The first one is a fear that I have now for after surgery, and that's loose skin. I'm not sure how much I'll have. I may have a lot and I might have none. So it'll be interesting to see how much I have, but that is a real big fear of mine. I don't like the look of loose skin. I think maybe in the future I'll get over myself and think, well, look how far you've come. You've got more mobility, you're healthier, you're more fit, you're more comfortable. So I'm hoping all of that will wipe out my fears of the loose skin and get over my vanity. But for right now, that's a big fear of mine, is the loose skin. So right now I'm at a 40 BMI, so I weigh about 233 pounds and I'm 5'4". So I'm on the lower end of being approved for weight loss surgery, but that doesn't mean that I won't have a lot of loose skin, particularly under the arms, in the stomach area. I've had 2 babies via C-section, and so the loose skin on my stomach could be a very big reality. And then between my legs and my inner thighs, I think those are the 3 places that I'll really have some loose skin. I think I'm young enough that I probably have enough collagen for things like this area to bounce back, and then like my face and some other areas, but I'm not really sure what that'll look like. So loose skin is one of my biggest fears. The second one is not being approved by my insurance. So like I said, I've gone through several appointments. I started this journey of going through the approval process about 6 months ago. I started my research about a year and a half ago. I did about a year of deep dive research into bariatric surgery, specifically gastric bypass and vertical sleeve. And I did research on both of them, decided that gastric bypass was the right path for me. And then at the beginning of this year in January, I started the process of being approved by my insurance company. So I have another video on my whole process, so you can watch those there. I won't get into it here. But I'm at the point where I'm about 6 months into working really hard to be approved for bariatric surgery. Like I said, tomorrow is my initial appointment with my surgeon. I'm not sure what I'm gonna have to do after that before I'm approved for the surgery through my insurance company. But that's another one of my biggest fears. A close friend of mine, she went through her insurance company and did a year-long process, including diets and going and being, having several appointments with her psych doctor. And then a couple of days before her surgery, the insurance company declined her. And that was a really big bummer. And so she ended up doing medical tourism, which is the right decision for her. She is a poster child for gastric bypass. She did amazing. And that's definitely an option that I've looked into and isn't one that I've taken off the table. I'd rather stay closer to home, even though I am doing medical tourism. I live in Oregon and I'm flying to Southern California to have my surgery. It has to do with how much my insurance company will pay at certain surgery centers. So there's a surgery center close to me, about 40 minutes away, that I could have my surgery, but my insurance will only cover it at 80%. And so if I fly down to Southern California to have my surgery, my insurance, written in the process of having bariatric surgery, the insurance company will pay 100%, and they'll pay for me and a companion to fly down there and the hotel fees. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for me to go to Southern California to have my surgery. And that's why I chose this surgery center. So my second biggest fear is not being approved after going through all this hard work. My next one is telling my inner circle. It was really, really, really hard for me to tell my husband and my parents and my brother and his wife. It was my problem, not theirs. I had a bunch of preconceived notions about how they would react based on what I had seen while doing my research, watching people go through the process and having their inner circle and the people closest to them basically leave their lives because they decided to have this surgery. And so when I first went and told my husband, I was in the process of doing several of my appointments before I told him, and I was so stressed out working my way up to telling him, that I woke myself up in the middle of the night with the most ridiculous, painful acid reflux I've ever had in my life. It was horrible. So when I finally came up with the courage to tell my husband, I was so nervous that I couldn't spit it out. I basically spit out that I wanted to have this elective surgery, but couldn't spit out what kind of surgery. So it took me about 15 minutes to tell him. Once I finally told him, and he was quiet the whole time, but once I finally told him, he was very relieved that my elective surgery that I wanted to have was gastric bypass and not a sex change, which apparently he thought that's what I was leading up to. Not even close. But I thought that was funny. But he supports me 100%. And he's been amazing. And I don't know why I was so nervous. Same thing with my parents. I told my mom and dad, and my mom said, "Good for you. That's exciting." And she's been 100% on board. My dad had no clue what it was, so I had to explain it to him. He's been pretty quiet, but I'm pretty sure he's on board. And then my brother and my sister-in-law, I ended up telling them about a week ago, and my sister-in-law, her reaction was, "I'm jealous." So she was actually jealous of me that I'm going through this process. So not at all the reactions that I thought I was going to get. My brother, super excited for me. Every one of those people I thought would be really judgy and try to talk me out of it. I think that was my biggest fear, telling them. So I've told a few of my friends, but not very many of them, for the same fears. But my psych doctor says that I really, really need to get over that and tell people. I know a lot of people have their own opinions on it's my business or tell the world. At first I wanted it to just be my business. Then I started making these videos, and I found these videos to be very therapeutic. So if you're going through this process and you're considering making videos or journaling, I highly recommend that you start a YouTube channel and make videos. And if you don't want the world to see it, you can make it private. But since it's been so therapeutic, I think I'm ready to tell my inner circle. But I'm still afraid of judgment. I think the biggest thing I'm afraid of is people who don't know the process and don't know the research trying to tell me their opinions. So like I said, I've researched this for about 1.5 years now. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm getting into. And I'm afraid that people will give me their opinions based on little to no research. And I'm not looking for their opinion. I'm just looking for their support. So I think that's what's holding me back right now. And I don't want people to be super judgy. I don't think I have judgy friends, but you never know. When you do things that are this life-changing, people tend to change. It's weird, but it happens. So another one of my fears is reverting back to old habits after I have my surgery. So I know that the first several months I will be very, very strict in what I'm doing. And I know that it will be hard, but I know that it will be easier to be strict at the beginning, knowing I just had surgery, and then harder to be strict as I go on. And so reverting back to old habits, eating the things I shouldn't be eating. I'm scared to death that afterwards I'll be able to eat anything and won't experience dumping syndrome. And so, not that I want to experience dumping syndrome, but if it's in the back of my mind that if I eat this thing, then it will cause me pain, then I won't eat the thing. And so I'm afraid that I won't have that consequence in my life. And that's a little scary because, like I've said in my old previous videos, I'm addicted to food. And people who are addicted to food, they tend to fall into old habits. And I don't want to fall into old habits. That's really scary to me. In fact, I'm so afraid of failing that in January, I had won our fantasy football league and I won about $700. And after I won, I started doing a ton of research into a Peloton bike. And I thought that's really, really what I wanted. And I was going to use the $700 as a down payment. But the more research I did, I couldn't justify the cost of the bike, let alone the monthly fee that comes with it. So I did a ton of research and I was able to find a Peloton hack, which I'll link in the comments below so you can follow along too if you're interested. But I found a Peloton hack and it's just a regular exercise bike, no bells and whistles, nothing fancy. And so I bought that, set that up, and it's now June and I've never ridden it. And the reasoning, I believe, is because at first I was afraid that I'd start a routine and get really excited and start to lose weight. And then I would fail and I couldn't deal with another failure. A joke I have going on is that I'm constantly failing a diet. So although I've seen a lot of success in diets, I've also seen just as many failures. So for every success, I've had failure, and for every 20 pounds that I've lost, it feels like I've gained 5 back. And it's not a good feeling. So anyways, I didn't touch that bike, still haven't touched the bike, and it's about 6 months later. Right now, I'm trying not to exercise until I get my approval for insurance because I'm afraid I'll lose weight and go under the 40 BMI. That is the minimum requirement for insurance. So right now I'm just maintaining, but I'm really looking forward to getting on that bike afterwards, getting up and walking and doing those things. But reverting back to old habits and failing is very much another fear of mine. The next one, and it's not necessarily a fear, it's more of a concern, I guess, is clothing afterwards. And so I have never viewed myself as being really fat because I buy clothes that are comfortable, I buy clothes that fit, and I'm a fairly confident person. I've never considered myself fat unless I see myself in a photo. So seeing myself in a photo or on video like this, I realize the weight that I have on my body. I also feel it in my joints and in my back, in my knees. And when I'm putting up a lot of vigorous work, like even just cleaning the house, sweeping, mopping, those kinds of things hurts. So that's where I know that I'm overweight, but I don't see it in my mind when I'm just out and about. And so I have a lot of clothing, and my fear is that I'm going to be too excited and I'm going to end up buying clothing too fast and not being able to wear it for more than a couple of weeks. Over the weekend, I cleaned out my drawers and my closet, and I organized the clothes into 4 piles: clothes that fit now, extra large, large, and medium. So I have a small pile of medium. And then I put them in totes, and then I put them into storage. So as I drop weight, I'll be able to open those up and exchange the clothes that I currently have for the new clothes. But when I get down to a medium or a small, I'm really nervous about finding the right clothes, being able to afford it. I know that I've watched other YouTube channels where they have said, put together a clothing budget, because you will have to buy things that you never thought of: bras, underwear, shoes. I know the shoes I'm wearing right now are pretty stretched out from, they're just worn, right? And they're stretched out. And when my feet are smaller, which is one of the areas I will lose weight, I won't be able to wear these shoes anymore. Shapewear, if you wear shapewear, I hate shapewear. I won't wear it. It's uncomfortable for me. But exercise clothes, jeans, shorts, dresses, all of the things that you need to wear. Watch bands, right? Because this one's super tight. I have it, I don't know if you can see, but I have it almost on the tightest, and this is the biggest band they have. Just buying those things, it's a really, really big investment. And so I'm a little bit scared of that investment as I go. So I have a feeling I'll be wearing clothes that are really saggy for a while, until I get to the point where I have to go down a couple of sizes and buy clothes. So although buying new clothes is really exciting, I'm really looking forward to it. It's also a little scary at the same time. So right now those are my 5 biggest fears going into this. I'll be okay. I have a great support system, but it's getting over those fears and getting out of my own head. That's one of the big reasons why we have the psych doctor and the nutritionist to help us through, right? So anyways, tomorrow, my appointment with my surgeon. It'll be really exciting. I'm interested to see what he has to say. I chose gastric bypass surgery, and I'm really hoping he doesn't try to talk me into sleeve. If I have sleeve surgery, I fear that I'll go to old habits and just stretch my stomach again. So I don't think that sleeve is the right option for me. I really think it's gastric bypass. So anyways, I hope these videos are helpful for you. Thank you.